right, ladies and gentlemen, we're in for a real treat on Sportswire Radio. In fact, we're in for such a treat. We're even a couple of minutes early tonight because our guest is from one of our favorite companies around here in the world of wrestling, the IMF, the Iowa Midwestern Wrestling Federation, and they've got a huge show coming up here. Memorial Day weekend, May the 27th, the Springtime Rumble, and he knows a thing or two about it. He's going to be in a number of different companies. In fact, from one company currently, he is the reigning defending hardcore champion. He's going to be defending that here later this summer. We're going to talk about that, plus even a few other companies that you may see him here, but he needs no further introduction. But because we do it anyway, we're still going to give it to him. So, without further ado here on the Sports Report, number one, the Sports Show wrestling star here from the IMF, the former IMF heavyweight champion and the current DKW hardcore champion. His name is Soulja GP. The champ is here. My friend, welcome aboard.
How's it going? Nice to be here.
I'll ask you in about an hour or so how my voice is doing. I'll tell you that much. That's how I'm doing. But obviously, a lot to talk about here with you today. We even have people that are tuned in already, and I'll get to those individuals in a couple of minutes. But I mean, for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, obviously we heard the man that you've certainly been your nemesis here over the past year or so, Mr. Omen Black, the current champion. But for those that are hearing you for the first time on Sportswire Radio, set the tables in the kind of wrestler that Soulja GP is.
Me, I'm a brawler. I just like to fight. So I fight. I'm not flashy. I don't do, suplexes. I don't do body slams. I do tosses and I do stunners. I got, I'm an inspiration from Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kevin Owens, and guys like that. So that's how I wrestle.
All right. Well, you know what? I could certainly see a little bit of those similarities here. But let me first here, before I get to Omen, I want to get to an individual here, which I guess is this a shoot or not a shoot that I've kind of been figuring out. How do I actually work this individual in here? But I'll actually figure it out for you because he's going to be on here Saturday night. He's going to be on here in a doubleheader of coverage for our friends over at Wrestling Championship Entertainment. He is also a champion. He is the RCW World Champion. His name is the Resident Rockstar, Sean Jovi, a little bit of a different type of wrestler than you are, champ. And he says here specifically to you, well, what do we have here? So I guess that I'm going to let you maybe throw the first shot in and fire away at the Resident Rockstar, Sean Jovi, because he's going to be in your chair right around this time, Saturday night.
The resident rock star, Sean Jovi. What is a rock star to a wrestling god? I'm the king of the backyard scenes, kid. I've been challenging you. I threw out challenges. You accept challenges, blah, 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 blah. Management needs to talk to management. But other than that, you're not on my level. You're really not on my level. And if we do step in the ring, the same thing's going to happen. Whether I step in the ring with you, whether I step in the ring with Craven, whether I step in the ring with back in the ring with Omen. Stunner, 1, 2, 3, it's over.
All right.
That's just how it is.
All right, that's fair. Now, I mean, I could certainly understand some of the points you might make, but I would say to at least give Sean Jovi his due a little bit, these last couple of matches I've seen him in the start of the WCE season, I mean, he has looked impressive. Adonis Felios, the AIW champion, disposed of him. And, I mean, these last couple of matches against Billiards, he looked good there in that match. I mean, are you concerned in a match like this where you'll see size versus size and what Sean Jovi does in the ring that he would give you a run for your money there, champ?
I'm not Billiards. I'm not Adonis. I'm not anything he's ever wrestled before. I'm the Mr. Heel Life 24/7. Plain and simple. He's never been in the ring with somebody like me. I don't care what he can do. I know what I'm capable of. That's all that matters. I know what I can take. I know what I can give. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter what he thinks he can do and what he's wanting to do. We get in the ring together, it's all going to remain the same. You're a winner. Soulja GP.
Well, you do look like a winner, and I will say this. Certainly watching some of your footage here on the IMF pages, and I want everybody to please follow the IMF on YouTube, also on Instagram at IMF_wrestling. You have been on a very impressive run. You are a hardcore guy, so I can certainly see why you are the DKW Hardcore Champion. But I do have a couple of comments here first from the WCE guys, because they seem to be fired up, and I'll get to Omen in a second. A lot of House of Wolves talk, I promise. But the Interstate Champion, Mr. James Marshall, is going to be in action at the next show there at Vindication for WC. Also later this month, says it's that time for Sportswire coverage. Size doesn't matter of what an individual can do in the ring to win a match is what matters. But then the resident rock star, Sean Jovi, has this to say for you. Look up Sean Jovi versus King BW. Wrestling big guys are my thing from time to time. So what do you say to these different comments?
What do I say to that? I'm not the King BW. I'm the Soulja GP. And again, you have never been in the ring with somebody like me. I've watched your guys' matches. None of your guys are me. None of y'all can do what I do on a daily basis. Plain and simple. I'm not King BW. I'm the Soulja GP. Totally two different people. Totally different. I'm better than that guy. I'm the king of the backyard. I'm the king of the backyard scene for a reason.
You know, and I was actually about to make a point and tell me your thoughts on this before I get to more comments on this. For what you've done in another company, DKW specifically, you hold another promotion's championship. I mean, isn't that a tremendous feather in your cap against going up against somebody like a Sean Jovi, and the fact that you're a champion of another promotion? That's an impressive feat, no?
It is an impressive feat. What makes it even more great is this weekend, or this coming weekend, the 20th. I plan on defending this title in another promotion. So that's just it. I'm that good.
Well, talk about that actually, because you have an actual show coming up here this Saturday. I mean, at the next weekend. I mean, talk about that and how that's kind of pretty unique that you're actually a champion in another promotion, right? That you don't work for, and you're going to defend their title in a completely other promotion. I mean, I don't know if I've heard something like this before. I mean, you've got to talk about this for us, champ.
I'm working with LMFP, Levi McDaniel's Fight Promotion. I'm fighting this guy named The Sieve. I challenged him to a last man standing match. I will gladly put this DKW Hardcore title on the line to fight him in a last man standing match. That's just who I am. And then I put my hat in their main event. Their main event is a Extreme Rules Battle Royal for their hardcore title. So after May 20th, I'm going to be sold to 2 belts, carrying a hardcore title from DKW and the hardcore title from LMFP.
And you have experience, by the way, of being sold to 2 belts because you were the IMF World Champion not too long ago. So for you, this might actually be an environment that you're totally comfortable in, no?
I'm always comfortable holding gold. That's what I do. I'm the best at what I do.
Okay, can I ask you a side question before I get to more comments? Are you a shoulder guy or a waist guy when it comes to gold?
You see how big I am, sir. I put these on my shoulder. Just like
I figured that. Listen, I've had on, you may or may not know this, I've had on probably, I don't know, 250, 300 plus wrestlers. And I've always asked that question when I get a chance, and I usually get the answer that you have. But I have a ton of comments here. Let me try to work everybody here first. Obviously, our guest a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Omen Black, is in the house, the current champion, the man you know very well. I'm sure you're going to have a lot to say about him. Oh, great. The House of Wolves are always watching. Now, he also says something else, though, before I get to James Marshall and some others here in a second. But he also says, I have one more surprise for you, Soulja. Wait and see. You want to speculate what that might be, champ?
I don't know, and I don't care. You took my son from me in our last match, and that hurt me.
I saw it.
And now there was that agreement where I can't go for the title while he's the champ. because he's scared of what the soldier's gonna do to him. But what he fails to realize, Omen Black, is I don't have to go for that title to whip your ass. So whatever surprises you got coming my way, bring them. I don't care. Because when you go step to me, I don't want that belt right now. I just want to whip your ass.
So you're saying that it's more important to get even after what he did to you on a personal level than reclaiming
On a
that
personal level,
championship,
yeah.
correct?
The championship for me right now, as long as he's the champ, is irrelevant to me because I can't go for it. So I don't care. I want a shot at Omen. He took my son.
Okay.
I want to come collect.
All right. Well, I have some more comments here. I'm going to come back to that. I want to work everybody in while I can because I know people certainly come in and out. Skulls, who here is in the house, and Skulls, certainly we're going to see also wrestling in WC in July. Says to a hardcore champion from another hardcore champion, what is your most memorable moment? All right, that's a good question. What was your most memorable moment?
The concerto that I gave Kron to win the hardcore title, to bring it back to IMF. That's my most memorable moment. When I smacked his head and I felt his head hit that chair and I rolled him over for the 3 count. As hardcore champ, that's my biggest moment. Most memorable moment being the hardcore champ is when I took it from Dark Crown.
Let me ask you a question on that. And to have a championship from another company, regardless, I know there's been a war between DKW and IMF, and I'm going to talk about that. Plus, I'm going to have an announcement for a guest coming up this Sunday, which I'm sure you're going to certainly be very curious on. But for you guys as a company, obviously you guys have had a lot of success. I'm going to talk about some of the success in addition to what you've been doing in the ring, champ. But for you guys to hold a championship for another company, what did that mean to the IMF in terms of building this brand, which you guys have with nearly 1,000 YouTube subscribers? Talk about how monumental that is for the company as a whole.
As a whole, it just shows
Yeah.
that what we're doing something right. And how we're doing it and how we are. It's working. It's working. Our goal was to unite wrestling, backyard wrestling. And that's what we're working at. And for them to entrust this title into me, honestly, it's a very good privilege. And I feel privileged and proud. And I keep it relevant. If you look at all the matches I've defended it since
You
I
were defending
won,
it like I've got every week
if
almost. Yeah, every week almost, right?
you look at all those views, it's over almost 3,000 views to this title alone. So I think I've been doing right. And I can probably say right now that I'm the greatest DKW hardcore champion of all time.
Well, I might have to ask you about that in a few minutes, but before I get to some more comments, I did kind of want to follow up in a way in another general question as we're here with wrestling star here, the DKW hardcore champion of the world and the former IMF champion of the world, Mr. Soulja GP.
I hate that you say
My name is the
former.
Reverend
I
Tom
really
Bryson.
hate that you say former.
I know.
It bothers me that you say former.
Well, listen, but
It
you were
really
a
does.
champion at least. Though, listen, right? There's a lot of people that would love to be formers in something. You were a champion. You were a world champion, and we are trying to certainly recognize that at least. But I wanted to ask you though, because I didn't get a chance to ask Omen this question really, and I know this would maybe on a personal level, this might touch you a little more than really Omen, because I don't think the House of Wolves would care too much about this. But when we see IMF footage that has 5,000, 8,000, 9,000, 3,000, 6,000 views, and so on and so on and so on. You're going to all over the world. You're going in homes that would never even been to Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I've never even been to where DKW is in Ohio or some other companies like WC in Wisconsin. And I mean, you're talking about worldwide recognition. I mean, how does that make you feel knowing that your content is viewed by so many people around the world?
I feel blessed. When we started this, I've been backyard wrestling, you could say, since I was a teenager.
Okay.
I did it when I was a kid. I did it all through my teenage years, and then I had kids, and then I was fortunate enough to get a ring. And fortunate enough that, my wife was all for it, and has been all for it since day one. So
That's
I
the
feel
best, most
blessed.
important person there is the wife. That's the most important one.
I feel blessed that everybody enjoys what we put out, because we don't. If you look at our videos, we don't ask you to like, subscribe, or we don't talk about the Patreon. We just we wrestle, put it out, and you guys watch it. And all I can say is I feel blessed that you guys watch our stuff and our product, and it's cool. It's cool to have fans. Like, I get spotted around town a lot, and it's actually really cool. I
It's
I
funny.
like I like I like
It's
talking to the
funny you said
fans.
that.
I like.
It's fun. It's funny you said that because we do a lot of work in England in these little small towns, kind of similar to where you guys are in some of these other companies. And I had the fortune to meet at the time the LWF champion Reynaldo, and I had asked Reynaldo the same question. We're sitting there, and I buy him breakfast because we're here in New York at the time in Manhattan, and I said, do you ever get recognized in your small little town? He goes to me, Tom, believe it or not, I've actually even had people recognize me saying that we spoke on Sportswire. I kid you not, and it's a big deal in some of these towns what you guys do. So I kind of had a feeling you were going to answer it the way you did. I do have some more comments. Let me get to it because people definitely want to talk. James Marshall gives you some praise. Touche. You were one of a kind individual. I'm familiar with Levi McDaniel by word of mouth. He's a very humble man. Particularly though, I want to pull up this individual, which you probably have heard of by now, right? Felix Jones. You know a thing or two about Felix Jones, and
Yeah,
Felix
I know.
Jones here.
I know. Twitter.
Yeah, you know Felix, right? Well, he'd like to
Yeah.
say, first of all, the Prince of Backyard Wrestling is here to watch the King of Backyard Wrestling. So, anything you might want to say to Mr. Jones here at the moment?
That's my son.
I'm
He's
aware
the
of that.
prince of the backyard wrestling.
That's
Yeah,
why
that's
I
my
said it
son.
the
He's the
way I
prince of
said it.
backyard
You
wrestling.
damn straight. We kind of referred a little bit to some of that here a few minutes ago, and that's why I figured we'd kind of say hello to him.
Hello, son. Hello.
Well, that's nice
Hey,
to know.
he's teaming up with he's teaming up with 30, and they're trying to find another partner for
Hmm.
May 27th, Springtime Brawl. They're
Okay.
fighting the
Well,
High Wolves on a 4-on-3 handicap match.
oof. Tough odds there, boy.
I
With
really,
the way the House of Wolves are, tough odds, right?
yeah, it is, because they'll go anyway to win, just like Omen. You know, Rumble in the Yard was pretty bad, right? My son kicked me in my nuts, and I got put through a table, and the greatest reign in IMF history ended.
Well, I was going to ask you before I get to more comments from other champions around the wrestling scene here, and I have a comment in a second, but I had to ask you almost a silly question, and forgive me for asking this. I mean, those conversations at the dinner table after your son kicks you in the nuts, I mean, as a fly on the wall, what was the dinner table like? I'm sure your wife had to do a lot of intermediary stuff.
Yeah, it was. It's kind of like Homer Simpson wrestler, meeting Bart. Kind of wanted to just. She had to be like Steve from Jerry Springer. She had to jump in between us, and he
Oh
likes
my
to rub it
God.
in. He likes to rub it in a lot. That he
Oof,
cost me my belt.
oof.
Let's just say he's grounded. He's grounded for like the foreseeable future. He's been grounded.
That's so funny because I always think about I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and as a kid, I remember getting in trouble. And my father was kind of a big man like you, and I always was like, well, when I would just get into trouble, the dinner table would almost be like I could tell, like my father when I got in trouble a lot, not as much as like you, I'm sure did, champ. And I could always imagine the daggers in your household be times 10. And I do have some more comments here, so let me get to some more people here first. Mr. Josh Hopkins says, Soulja GP, good evening. So anything you'd like to say to Josh? I know Josh has been a friend of ours here on Sportswire, and certainly want to make sure we say hello to him.
Good evening, Josh Hopkins. How you doing?
I like the voice there. You had a good voice on that one there. The resident rock star Sean Jovi here before Saturday night here would like to say, here's Jovi's plan. Step 1, beat Soulja until he lives on a prayer. Step 2, become interstate champion. Step 3, profit. Well, how is profiting going to do anything with the first two? But Soulja, I know you're going to disagree with the first one, obviously, correct?
Well, I mean, your plans. If you're using step one as beating me into living on a prayer, I'm sorry to say, you're not gonna make it to step two because Jovi, when we step in the ring and that bell sounds, that's when the moment that you knew you messed up. Because when I drop you with that stunner, it's gonna be 1, 2, 3. That's it. Doesn't matter if it takes 30 seconds. Doesn't matter if it takes 10 minutes. When you get caught with that stunner, just like everybody else, go down for the 1, 2, 3.
So it sounds to me as if, like, to quote some John Bon Jovi albums, that Mr. Sean Jovi, when Soulja hits that stunner, could very well be slippery when wet or hit some crossroads there. So he better keep the faith when it comes to going in the ring there with Mr. Soulja there. That's what it sounds like to me. The Painmaker, Mr. Joshua Allen himself, says evening, Mr. Soulja GP. So we say hello to the Painmaker, and anything you may want
How
to
you
say to
doing,
the Painmaker
Haymaker?
himself?
That's from TBW, right?
Yep, yep.
TBW walks around with the champ.
Okay. I'm
How's it
gonna
going?
have some
How's it going?
announcements related to. Gonna have
I
some
saw, I
announcements
saw, I
related
saw
to.
his Ledger. I saw his
Mhm.
win against the Atomic Titan.
Yes,
Nice win.
yes. We have some
But
friends in
if you're looking for
TBW
some
that
real
we do.
competition, if you're looking for some real competition to challenge you, come holler at me. I'll gladly
Oof.
take off that belt.
Ooh. Well, something tells me here that the Painmaker may be responding in due time here. Speaking before I get to an important comment related to the IMF, which, by the way, before I do that, and other comments, I want everybody to follow the IMF on YouTube, please, at IMF Wrestling 666. Almost 1,000 subscribers already subscribed to the IMF. I know I'm one of those subscribers, and if you're out there on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or on sportnarium.com/player, please subscribe to the IMF and support their content. It is a great company. They do all types of wrestling in terms of the weekly shows. They do pay-per-views. They also have some great footage out there, different clips. They have reels. This is definitely a company you really want to support. They are really doing it the right way. I can't thank them. If we want to support all the great companies out there in wrestling, whether it's backyard wrestling, professional wrestling, we love them all here on Sportswire, and I want everybody to love the IMF as much as everyone already does here. The Drip King, Adonis Felios, the AIW champion, says the Drip King has arrived on the scene. He says, Soulja GP, we meet at last. He also then goes on, the reigning AIW champion comments, but Sean Jovi was able to beat you 1, 2, 3 there. And Skulls says a nightmare is coming to WCE real soon. Count the days down. That means Skulls' appearance in July. But I want to ask you a question, though, coming back to the IMF, because you mentioned something that was interesting, and you talked about Felix Jones. You talked about, obviously, May the 27th, Memorial Day weekend. Forget about Fast and the Furious. Forget about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Forget about Transformers. All these big movies out. The big blockbuster weekend's going to be, obviously, you guys, Springtime Rumble. And Mr. Felix Jones here has a comment, which I want to particularly address to you, Soulja, if you don't mind. We need a partner, Soulja. Can you join us? I mean, the numbers game, you said it yourself, are against Felix and Dirty Donnie, and the House of Wolves have the numbers game. I mean, what do you say to something like that right now?
I haven't set foot in IMF since that match, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
because it really affected me. It really affected me that he had to go so low to use my son. So I don't know, really, because if my son turns on me, who can I trust, right? My moniker, don't trust Soldier. DTS, don't trust Soldier. But if my own son, my youngest son, to be exact, is the one who turned on me, who else? Who can I trust? And I don't work well with partners. If you actually notice, me and Omen used to be tag team partners.
I know, I know.
I don't work well with teams. I'm a one man gang. Like that's a reference for old wrestler.
Oh, we know him very
But
well. Listen, certainly, that was the old tag team with the Big Boss Man back in WrestleMania 5, I think. What do they call them? The Twin Towers, I think it was, right? Was it the Twin Towers?
mhm.
I remember.
So I work better alone, son. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. Just can't do it. You'll find you
Soulja,
guys
I
will
could
find
see
somebody.
though. But Soulja, I could see when the family comes up. We've been having a good time here for the past, little while, and we've been talking about different things, and I could see though something different in you when your son came up and how it's affected you, and especially the IMF. And you've been the man that has carried the IMF up until recently to have led the IMF into where all these homes have seen the IMF. Obviously, us covering it here on Sportswire, and even these different wrestlers around the world that want a piece of the IMF. And I could see though that you're emotionally impacted by it. I mean, is that a fair statement to say?
Yeah, I don't like my IMF is like a family thing for me. Like my kids
Mm.
wrestling it, I wrestling it, and for Omen to go as far as he did, like if you watch the match, Omen grabbed my mom, put hands on my mom,
I know.
my
I
actual
saw
mother.
that. I
He was in the
actually
audience,
no.
like he
I've
put
seen
hands on
that
my
before,
mom.
though. Yeah, I have seen
So
that
like,
before. That didn't bother me so much. But the son, toward the end of the match, that
but
was like that was different.
for him to use my son and take my youngest son from like to beat me for my title, it hurt. I'm not gonna lie, it hurt, and it is, it's a difficult thing to swallow. And like I said, when you said earlier, former IMF World Heavyweight Champion, it just burns me. It just burns. It just what's he? What Peter Griffin say? That really just grinds my gears. That
Yeah,
like
I do
it
remember
hurt.
that on Family Guy. Yeah, I could see that, and it's unfortunate. And I do have some more comments here before I come back to Mr. Felix Jones. But the Painmaker, Joshua Allen, which, by the way, I think the Painmaker, was that a sabotage? I'm trying to think. I'm a heavy metal fan, so I'm trying to think of something that relates to the Painmaker. But you might be the king of backyard wrestling in the IMF, with all due respect, but you're not Ledger. Real competition. Interesting. Ledger has put down everyone: Gage Flair, Jay Wild, Lake Lewis, Joe Anderson, and now Titan at Vendetta. You want to be added to that list, Soldier? You have a response to the Painmaker, Joshua Allen?
Yeah, I do. Look, I'm not like Gage Flair. I'm not a Ric Flair knockoff. I'm not a Bray Wyatt wannabe with Jay Wilder. I don't even know who Lake Lewis or Joe Anderson is. And I'm not the Titan. I'm the Soulja GP. I'm the king of the backyard scene, and I am Mr. Heel Life 24/7. And if I wanted to, I'd come to TBW and take that belt from your legendary champion, Ledger.
Well,
Plain and simple.
speaking. Well, I'll tell you what. Speaking of TBW, before I get to a couple of announcements here, the first one I'm going to go with right on the air here is May the 28th. We're going to break it here. We're going to have, speaking of TBW, and a man you know very well, Mr. Anthony Taylor is going to be here with us. And a couple of weeks ago, we saw him for a few minutes speak to Omen Black, and he had a lot to say toward Omen and the House of Wolves. And Anthony Taylor is going to talk, obviously, a lot about his story here and everything else with all things related to his career coming up. So Mr. Taylor will be with us on Sportswire Radio coming up here May the 28th. And I look forward to that right about, I think, 8 o'clock Eastern time. So definitely stay tuned for that. A lot to talk about Memorial Day weekend. And James Taylor, my apologies, James Taylor. I just realized it's been a long day. But James Taylor, May the 28th.
Yeah.
I have another Anthony, though, in a second. I'll get to him in a little while. But James Taylor, once again, the legendary James Taylor, May the 28th, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Tune in
James
on
Taylor.
Sportswire
You said
Radio.
James. You said James Taylor.
Yep,
James Taylor's gonna
James
be on
Taylor.
there.
He's going to be on there May the 28th. Yep,
Are you
he'll
sure
be
he's
there.
gonna
May
be on
28th.
there? Because he was supposed to be here at Rumble in the Yard, and he's scared of the Soulja, so he never showed up.
Why do you think that is, by the way, that James Taylor didn't show up? I mean, certainly Omen had a
Because
few things to say
I
to
do
it a
what
couple
he
weeks
does,
ago.
what he's been doing for 20 years. I literally been doing for just a little bit, and I do it better than he does. He knows if he stepped in the ring with the Soulja, I'd whoop his ass. That's the plan. That's what it is. He was supposed to come up here. We were supposed to do something. Some things happened. He didn't show up. He's scared of James. He's scared of Soulja. That's why. Taylor fears the Soulja. Plain and simple.
You think I should ask him this question in 2 weeks on the 28th of May at 8 o'clock? Should I ask him? Did Mr. Taylor
I
at
I
22
don't
going
care.
on?
You could ask him. You could ask him whatever you want. I know the
Okay.
truth.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask him anyway because I'm sure there's people out there that might want to hear what I have to say to James Taylor, and that'll be again on Sportswire Radio, all of our platforms here. You can follow Mr. Taylor at Taff_Taylor. That is Taff_Taylor on Instagram. You can also follow him on YouTube, James Taylor 8 p.m. I do have a couple of more comments here first before I get to an important family one here. Skulls says it's like skulls, a man with like no soul. My very good friend, noted wrestling fan, and attorney, prominent attorney here in New York, which I don't know why attorneys are tuned in here to listening to wrestling, but Mr. Brian Gusman says Twin Towers, the Boss Man, and Akeem reference. He liked that reference. He's a huge wrestling fan, so I appreciate that. If you ever need a lawyer, hopefully he can go and help you on a discount. So if you ever need anything comes up in the court of law, wrestling fan Brian Gusman maybe can help you. But actually, before I come back to your son, I have to pull up this comment here about Craven Rage. And you've heard of Craven Rage. He's the WC champion there. He's been their champion, their ruler of the yard. He says, "Evening, Mr. Champ, the self-proclaimed king of the backyards. I know that you calling out the resident rock star Sean Jovi, and that is a good choice. But honestly, I don't think you have what it takes to overcome him. But however, if you can somehow get past him, always remember that you might be the king of the backyard. I'm the ruler of the yard and the backyard nightmare of the yard. The longest reigning defending champion in history. Well, in WCE history, that is, because he's been champion there for about a year. So obviously, Mr. Craven Rage has a lot to say there. It's a mouthful. And Soulja GP, what do you say to that?
He's a comedian. That's what I said. That was
Really?
funny. He's a comedian. He's a comedian. The backyard nightmare.
Yeah.
Who's nightmare? Who's nightmare? I've watched every single person you fought. They ain't nothing. They're nobodies. They ain't nothing. You step to me, step to Omen, step to me. You're taking an L, buddy. The only reason why you're still a champ is because you never fought people like us. That's a fact.
Are you saying then that the competition he's beaten is to, let's say, the equivalent of, let's say, when how can I put this in a respectful way? But when Don King was promoting Mike Tyson, they would put up like these nobodies, or they would refer to it in boxing as tomato cans.
Like Rocky. Okay, like Rocky. Was it Rocky 3? Rocky 3.
Yes, the beginning of Rocky 3. Yep, Rocky
people. Yeah, he's Rocky, and I'm Clubber Lang. But there is no rematch, kid. The rematch will still end the same as the first match. If you step to one of us, we'll drop you quicker than Clubber Lang did Rocky. Like, you're fighting all paper people, man. All paper people. They're putting people that they know you can beat in front of you. Fight some competition.
All right,
friendly competition.
Friendly competition, which is, I think people always want to see that. But I'll say this, let's say in one sense, he puts up the people that are in front of him and he knocks them down. I mean, so you still got to beat these people, though. No, right?
Right. But like I said, they've been Rocky and Rocky from Rocky 3 in them. That's all. Putting people that they know he could beat.
So the Killer Rabbit then wasn't impressive to you then?
He spent more time fighting to keep his face on than he did in the match. Plain and simple. I watched that match. He spent more time trying to keep his mask on. He spent more time trying to keep his mask on.
I actually had people message me and said, "Did Craven Rage really wrestle a Killer Rabbit?" People that actually like are just casual friends of mine that like occasionally watch my shows. They were like, "Hey, did Craven wrestle that Killer Rabbit? And did he beat him?" I said, "Yeah, he beat him. No, he really did wrestle him. I watched the match." So yeah, I mean, look, I mean, it's a fair point. I mean, look, Craven Rage is going to come on here, very shortly. In fact, I'll announce it here, May 24th. Yes, the ambulances are coming for whoever you put in the truck in the next match. But we are going to have on Craven Rage and WC Vindication coverage May 24th. That'll be 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 p.m. Central Time. So I'll ask Craven those questions, and we'll have Sean Jovi and Nicholas Crenton back to back, and they're going to be wrestling each other, by the way, at WC Vindication. So a lot to talk about there with Mr. Crenton and Sean Jovi. We'll see if Sean Jovi keeps his title. You're going to stay champion, I know, coming up here on the 20th of May and certainly for the 27th. But before I get to those family comments, a couple of more comments I want to get to. I want to get to a good friend of mine over in the UK. By the way, what are they doing up in the UK watching Soul? That's how big you are, by the way. People from the UK are up right now, 4:30 in the morning. It is Mr. BMD from Firestar Pro Wrestling says, hope you are well, chaps. Also says, good morning. Adonis Felio says, Drip King acknowledges Soulja GP, but as for future competition, he doesn't say anything yet. But I have to come back here, though, to your son, if you don't mind. And I'll come back to other people. I have some more announcements. But here's what Mr. Felix Jones has to say, champ. Says, hi, Soulja, me and Donnie need a partner for Springtime Brawl. Can you join us to take out the house? Dad, please, we need you. Now, I know how you spoke about 10 minutes ago when it came to your son. But this to me sounds like a real emotional plea from somebody that deeply loves you and admires you. And this is the good son you have. I mean, what do you say toward these comments?
He had to use the dad card, huh?
Well, you are his father. You want to think about it still? We got a little more time on Sportswire. We're not closing out yet. There's still time here. I know there's a lot to process tonight. I know you didn't come on here thinking about a return to the IMF, thinking about Springtime Rumble, thinking about even the possibility of your son coming on it. I know there's a lot to process here. So we can always come back here in a little while if you need time to think about it here.
Yeah, I need some time.
Okay, I don't blame you. Listen, I don't blame you. I know it's a lot to process, and it makes you feel better. You know, I actually was a contestant at one time. I tried out for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, so I understand the pressure. I know all about that stuff, so I understand. I was there in the ABC studios. I was there on the test and everything else, so I get it. So we have time here on Sportswire Radio, and this is reasons why I want everybody in the meantime to follow the IMF, to figure out these decisions that Soulja GP has, and see the likes of Dirty Donnie and Felix Jones and the House of Wolves. You can do that at IMF Wrestling 666. IMF_wrestling on Instagram. And if you're on Facebook, please like and follow the Iowa Midwestern Wrestling Federation pages. I'm telling you, you're going to want to follow them. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. I am the man behind Sportswire Radio. And if you like what you hear from us, you can follow us anytime on Facebook and YouTube at Sportswire Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all of our great content here on sportnarium.com/spread. I'll be back tomorrow with a full slate of wrestling coverage, including Jenna, of course, who was in the U.S., back in the UK, and then our LWF Power Hour with Wildfire Nate Reese and the Scenario Nathan Gunn. That'll start about 8 o'clock British Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And then I guess I'm going to break it here for you. This Sunday night, live here on Sportswire Radio, we're going to have somebody from the DKW that you know very well, and Mr. Matthew Forsaken. And we are certainly going to find out here if we are all Forsaken, because Mr. Forsaken is going to be here on Sportswire Radio, and there is a lot to talk about here with him, and that'll be right around, I believe, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, so tune in for that. That is going to be one for the ages here. DKW coverage. Very, very excited to have on here Mr. Forsaken himself. We'll have a lot to talk about. I know you're going to come up, and Omen Black, everybody's still talking about that. This DKW IMF war. And, actually, I should, before I get to more comments, I know people want to talk. We'll get to you, everybody that's out there live on Sportswire and YouTube, Facebook, whatever, but I mean, so that Mr. Forsaken is coming on here to Sportswire on Sunday, and you guys have been locked in this war here with the DKW. You've got their championship, and I mean, so what can we expect, and what do you want to say to those guys there?
I want to say you're welcome for putting relevancy to your fucking belt. Just want to say that, and I'm sorry for using the bad word, but you're welcome that people watch me defend your title. But on a side note, I do want to thank Forsaken, because I didn't get a chance to thank him for coming in and helping me when Kron wanted to get involved in my match, which I ultimately got put through a table. But I want to thank him. And I want to throw out a challenge. I know I'm coming down there July 1st. I know I'm fighting Kron, defending this, beating him again, because that's just what I like to do, is beat up Kron. So I know I'm going to beat up Kron, take this back. But I also want to throw out a challenge. I challenge Kron and Omen. If Forsaken wants to be my partner, me and Matt Forsaken versus Dark Kron and Omen Black in a tag match.
Really? I mean, you want to repeat that again for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio that you actually want this offer here? I mean, repeat that again here because I think people might want to hear that because I'll ask Mr. Forsaken this same question Sunday night.
I'm throwing out there. I know I'm coming up there. Like I said, I know July 1st, I'm coming up there to whoop Kron's ass, to keep this DKW title and bring it back because I'm the greatest DKW champion in their history. So that's one thing. But Soulja GP, is offering a partnership with Forsaken to take on Omen Black and Dark Kron in a tag match.
Now, that sounds like an offer maybe that Mr. Forsaken might want to strongly consider. I mean, I will probably ask him that question. Let's see if he accepts between now
I think
and
it'll be
Sunday night.
And you see how well we worked together. We power bombed Omen's big ass off the top rope
That's
to the
true.
ground.
Now, that's
together.
true. I have to say that was the power bomb heard around the world. I will give you that. I will say this, that just maybe the DKW and the IMF can coexist in some way. I know everyone's been focusing on this war, but you guys both do have a common enemy right now in Mr. Omen Black.
What is it? An enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah, I've heard.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard that one before. Yeah, I've heard that. I'm gonna certainly ask Mr. Forsaken that question. It'll be about 8 p.m. Eastern time on all of our platforms here. Mother's Day weekend here, so we'll kind of be celebrating Mother's Day, right? By speaking DKW and IMF with Matthew Forsaken. I want to thank the DKW for certainly reaching out. Our friends over at Dark Cryptic Wrestling. You want to follow them on YouTube here, please, at Dark Cryptic Wrestling. 400 plus subscribers already. Join the movement. Please go out and support our friends over at Dark Cryptic Wrestling. So please make sure you go follow them on YouTube. Again, Dark Cryptic Wrestling. That's with a K, so make sure you know it's a K here. So do have a couple of more comments here. We'll come back to that. Adonis Failure says, thanks, Tom. Still number one in all of sports entertainment worldwide to those watching all over social media. The heart of the show that keeps the machine flowing. Sportswire Radio, good night. Godspeed till next time, Sportswire. Thank you, Adonis, for tuning in. BMD wants to say that he's unfortunately up for work early. It's like 4:30 a.m. in the UK, so that explains that. But I want to come back to Omen Black because he has something to say to you. But first, I have to read off 2 Craven Rage comments because I'm going to come back to this whole situation with you and the IMF in a few minutes, which will tie this all in. But Craven Rage says, I ran bigger people out of this company. For example, JDT and Kodak Kid. He also goes on to say that you're a great champion, but you need to stay in your lane. I've seen your work and you're tough, but honestly, I'm definitely better than you, and Sean Jovi is better than you. So talk to your management and WCE management to see if you can find out who is better because I love a challenge.
I'm not going to comment on that. Like he said, all right, management, talk to our management. Waiting for you guys to respond.
So you're saying it's up to WCE that you want the match to happen, basically.
I want the match. I want the match with Jovi. And if Craven Rage later on wants a match with the Soulja, he can get that ass whooped too. That's just the way it is.
Well, Omen Black seems like, though, he wants Craven Rage, though.
He can have him. But like I said, Craven talking like he want a match with the Soulja. He thinks he can go one-on-one with Mr. Hill Live 24/7. And if he wants to go one-on-one with Mr. Hill Live 24/7, I'll put his ass down like I put everybody else down.
So, I mean, obviously, we'd like to see the match. We certainly hope to see it. Certainly, let's see what happens. But let me come back to the IMF news here. That is Omen Black. Mr. Black here has responded here to our chat once again on Sportswire, and he wants to address your son once again here. He's not your son anymore, Soulja.
You run that mouth and you hide behind management. You got to put in there that I can't come for that belt. That's fine. I will get my title due back in due time. But I don't have to go for that title to get another match with you to whip your ass for what you did. I'm not going to forgive, and I'm not going to forget. It might not be tomorrow. It might not be next week. But it will happen. And when we step in that ring, Omen, I'm going to drop you and take my son back.
Now, you just said something interesting, right, about dropping Omen and getting your son back. Now, that I think that's what I'm hearing. But you got time still. Not going to force you to make a decision yet. But your other son here talked about needing a partner. Now, I don't know a lot about much of anything, but he's making a point here that you could have that opportunity, maybe to get back a little bit at the House of Wolves here, if you wanted, and teaming up with him and Dirty Donnie on May the 27th, Springtime Rumble. Is that still something that you're trying to process here? I know, again, it's a lot. I know it's a lot to digest here, but you have that opportunity. I mean, we got time.
You know what, Tom? You're right. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck it. Felix, Donnie, I'll be your partner. I'll be your partner. You're right.
Now, is that a yes? Is that it? To quote my tryout on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Soulja GP, is that your final answer that you are going to team with Felix Jones and Dirty Donnie May 27th, Springtime Rumble against the House of Wolves?
House of Wolves, Striker, Uric, tag team champions Freddie Daniels and Jordan Nets. You're not only going against Felix and Dirty Donnie, you're going against the Fixer Boys and the Soulja GP. And I'm going to whip your asses on my way to get a hold of Omen.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have heard it. It's official now. May the 27th, we are going to see the trio of Felix Jones, Dirty Donnie, and Soulja GP, our reigning, defending DKW Hardcore Champion of the World, take on the House of Wolves at the Springtime Rumble on May the 27th. And you can watch the show on the IMF Wrestling's YouTube page at IMF Wrestling 666, and go to their Instagram page at IMF_wrestling. Also, give them a like on Facebook for more updates, because this is going to be the match that is going to officially kick off the summer. Forget about the box office movies. Forget about, AEW's big show coming up. Forget about all the other wrestling shows. This is going to be your official kickoff for the summer. The barbecues, the hot dogs, you name it, the beach weather, the girls in bikinis, all that stuff. It's all going to start with our friends over at the IMF at the Springtime Rumble. And you've heard it here first. Soulja GP, Felix Jones, Dirty Donnie take on the House of Wolves here. So that's going to be something we're going to be talking about here quite a bit on Sportswire Radio over these next couple of days here. And Felix Jones here himself has given the official thumbs up, because, yes, House of Wolves, you're all going down. So it looks like here we got the thumbs up here on Sportswire. We saw it, we heard it, and we're going to get a chance to watch this here coming up on May the 27th. Very, very excited here. This is going to be a dream match. I mean, this is going to be a match, if you're an IMF wrestling fan, there's a lot of them out there. We've seen thousands and thousands of views of match after match, reel after reel, show after show. This is going to be one, I promise you. It's going to be better than all of the other IMF Rumbles, to say the least here. Couple of more comments here before we move on and get to another announcement or two on Sportsfire related to, in a way, kind of you guys here at the IMF. WCE says talk to management, will come to terms, hopefully. That sounds like maybe we're kind of covering our heads in case nobody makes a deal, or maybe that's sincere. I don't know, but that's kind of where we're at there with that. We'll move on. Craven Rage says, you'll fall to me like everyone else has done in the past. I even made James Marshall, the interstate champion, fall to me. It would be a great opportunity to take one of the IMF guys to fall to me, Omen Striker. But I got here, though, that management says hopefully, and Craven Rage is saying, yeah, we're going to happen. But does that sound like maybe a boxer who knows that he can throw a punch, but you guys can't hit back? I mean, what do you say to that, though?
Talk to management.
Okay, well, you know
Talk to
what? I think
management.
that's the best manager. Listen, you know what?
Plain and simple.
I think that's the best comment anybody could have
I
said
find
because
that I
we
find it
hear.
funny that Craven Rage keeps bringing talking about all these other people, but all these other people, no disrespect to James Marshall, good guy, good wrestler. I watched it. I'm sorry that you lost, but Craven Rage, I am not James Marshall. I am not any of these other guys. I'm not what is it, the rabbit, the killer rabbit.
Killer Rabbit,
I'm
yeah,
not.
Killer Rabbit, yeah.
I don't wear a rabbit mask. I don't wear a mask at all.
And then
I'm the
the
Soulja
opponent he's
GP.
got coming up, who said Craven Rage was his mentor, he looked up to him. I mean, that's interesting, right? I mean, I guess you aren't him. You know, this guy Prince
I'm not
Charles.
him
Yep.
either. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not Prince Charles. I'm the soldier. I've
Okay.
seen everybody
All
get
right.
beat, man. I've seen everybody. None of them can do what I do in that ring
All right. Well, you know what?
on a
I mean,
daily basis on what I do.
well, I'll tell you what. There's been a lot of back and forth between you guys and WC. I mean, I'd like to see something happen. I'm always a believer that it's good business when everybody comes together. We saw even during COVID, AEW works with Impact Wrestling, the NWA, Ring of Honor, which obviously turned into them taking over that company, New Japan Pro Wrestling. ECW used to do work with the WWF at the time. I'm always a believer. It gets new people to look, new people to watch, listen. So at the end of the day, I'd like to see it happen, but we'll certainly see. Obviously, Jovi will be in your chair. Crenson will be in your chair coming up on Saturday. Marshall's coming back the following week, and we get Craven, and we'll ask him those same questions. You know what? At the end of the day, that's going to be stuff for them to go figure out along with management on both camps. But I do have another announcement for a guest coming on here, which I know you probably heard of this guy. This will be next Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And he's a guy, I guess you might say, has got the second best Claymore kick in the business behind Drew McIntyre. And that's another guy that certainly had a mouthful to say when it comes to some IMF wrestlers, specifically Omen Black. And that is Mr. Anthony Steele. That's Steele with an E, and he is coming here live to Sportswire Radio to talk his journey and what he's up to. And, you know, I was curious, Soulja, if there's anything ahead you might want to say to Mr. Steele, what we should know about, because it's another person here we announced on Sportswire Radio that is coming to join us. And I think of Anthony Steele, and how about his wars with James Taylor? I mean, the match they had last year and Taylor Steele too, people are still talking about it. I think combined it was like, what, 7 Claymores, like 8 stunners. I mean, people are still talking about who kicked out and who didn't kick out. I mean, you know, anything you want to say toward Mr. Steele and such?
Anthony Steele, you came to IMF. I give you respect. You
And he
came to
couldn't get
IMF.
the job done, though, against Omen Black. He could
But you
not get
couldn't
the job done.
done. And I wonder why you couldn't get the job done. Was it because of that chair that I cracked you in your back and you went through the table because of it and you lost and sit your ass, you walked your ass back to goddamn Tennessee and I ain't seen you since. I'll be watching because I want to respond. Why haven't I seen you? Oh, you talk a big game. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to get my revenge, Soulja. I'm going to get my revenge. When? You know, James Taylor, it took 8 Stone Cold Stunners to put you down for James and you kicked out. It's only going to take 1 from me, kid. 1.
So you're saying basically then Steele, it took everything he had to put down Old Yeller and James Taylor. But you, I mean, think about the trouble he'll have with you. I mean, he could barely put down Old Man Yeller and Taylor. I mean, you're pretty much the heel life 24/7. You're the hardcore champion. Nobody's as tough as you these days. And I mean, even on the greatest day that you're saying Steele ever had, he can't put you down, basically.
Yeah. Like I said, I hit him with the chair and he took off running back to where he came from. Haven't seen him since.
So you're saying that he basically... So you're saying basically he pulled a Stone Cold in 2002 and took his ball and went home then?
No, he didn't take his ball. I sent his ass home. That chair sent him home.
So you think then You think we'll see him again in the IMF, or I mean, you think he won't want to come back after that? Because you did do a lot to him. I mean, certainly he couldn't beat Mr. Black. I mean, he said a lot and didn't deliver.
Oh yeah, and Omen, you're welcome for that. Because if I wouldn't have helped you, he would have beat you.
Well, that's kind of what
I,
Mr. Taylor was kind of saying toward Mr. Omen. That yeah, you've got some wins, but you got this group, you've gotten help, but yourself on a one-on-one basis, are you really this big bad champion that you are? I mean, that was to be fair. You heard Mr. Taylor on here on Sportswire a couple of weeks ago. That was kind of what Old Man Yeller, James Taylor, was saying.
yeah, I heard Tay Tay. I heard Tay Tay talk. He don't believe what comes out his mouth. I don't believe what
Really?
comes out his mouth because he don't believe what comes out his mouth. All I see is crap, 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 crap. He spits crap when he opens his mouth. That's all it is.
Why do you think that is, though, about James Taylor? I'll ask him this question on May the 20th. Is it the old age? Is it just basically past his
You
prime? I
can
mean,
tell,
father time?
looking at James Taylor, you can tell what year, what era he grew up watching because
Yeah.
he studies a lot of Stone Cold Steve Austin. He
Yes, he
studies a
did.
lot of Triple H. So, like, if you find a Stone Cold promo, I'm pretty sure he's copped it.
So you're
So,
saying that basically you're saying he's stuck in 1998. It's 2023, basically, is what you're telling us.
yeah, the old man is stuck in 1998, and it's 2023.
I mean,
It's time
even
for you to
Ric
move over.
Flair evolved. Yeah, I mean, look, even
Yeah,
Ric Flair
it's time
evolved.
for you to move aside. It's time for him to move aside. It's
So, I
kind of
mean,
like it's kind of like at the WrestleMania 14, Stone Cold won the belt
and
from
Shawn
Shawn
Michaels.
Michaels,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if you watch that rivalry on A&E, and it talks about how
Yes. Biography.
Shawn Michaels realized he was on his way out, and Austin was on his way in, and Shawn would make it difficult to go out. You know what I mean? Like he'd make it difficult. That's what it is. He makes it difficult. He needs to move on. It's time. It's time for him to hang it up. I watched his last match. It's time for you to hang it up, son. Plain and simple. Hang it up. Nobody's
I
scared.
don't know,
Nobody's
though.
scared. Nobody's scared of a mini Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like the guy's small. Like what are you gonna do
But
when you go up
I
against
would
what is he
say,
gonna do when he
though,
goes up against a guy like me? Like a
now
guy like
that
me.
those are fair points, and I'm not going to disagree that you have the size, you have the strength, and you certainly are in the prime of your career. I would certainly not argue any of that stuff. But if you caught Mr. Taylor's Instagram page the other day, I mean, it seems like he's going back to the basics. He's going back to what got him to the dance, what made him into this 20-year plus veteran where people from all over pay to see him. People from all over the world view him, his YouTube pages, his TikTok pages. And it seems like he's going to where basically, what got him to the dance. Maybe that's the way he's going to make this big comeback.
You can say that you're going back to basics, but old is old. You're old, man. Like you're not that young horse anymore. You're not that young buck anymore. You're an old guy. Like it's time to hang it up.
And then
Again, I saw
conversely,
you last night.
then if a young buck, quote unquote, Anthony Steele, had trouble beating James Taylor, he's no match for you, and he certainly is no match for Omen Black because we saw that story already, correct?
Again, Anthony Steele. I hit you in the back with a chair and haven't seen you since. Where you at, buddy? And now
I'm
all of a
gonna
sudden
host
you
him this
come,
Friday.
and all of a
Well,
sudden now you're still up.
he's requested a microphone. We spoke with him, and he's requested to come on to Sportswire Radio. He plans to address Omen Black. He plans to address you. He plans to address the future. And Mr. Steele is going to be talking like he's full of steel. So I'll have to find out. We'll have to find out.
I will grab my blanket and my pillow because he's gonna put me to sleep.
Ooh, wow. Okay, all right. You know what? I gave you that much. And we got a lot of coverage here on Sportswire. Again, I want to recap some of this thing before I get to some closing thoughts here. Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to close out Mother's Day weekend with Matthew Forsaken. I'm going to ask you about the possibility of teaming against you, against Chronic and Omen Black coming up here at July 1st DKW show. So that's number one. Secondly, May 19th, next Friday, we're going to have on Mr. Anthony Steele himself, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, to talk with Mr. Steele about all things related to his journey and maybe some of the responses that you had to say for him, along with Mr. Omen Black. Then we're going to have on May 21st, more announcements from ROEW, another company we do some work with, CJ Black, the good guy, CJ Black, the former champion there. He's requested a microphone. He's got a lot to say. Going to have him on all of our Sportswire radio platforms about 8 o'clock Eastern Time. So looking forward to that. Then again, May the 28th, we're going to have on Mr. James Taylor himself, Old Man Yeller. I guess we called him here over these past 5 or 10 minutes. It'll also be 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And who knows what Mr. Taylor might say. As some people might say, he might be better at streaming video games than in the ring. But I'm going to ask him those questions. So certainly, but, speaking of the bat signal, and no, I'm not talking about Craven Rage right now. Mr. James Taylor has come on live to Sportswire Radio. Do you want to know what he has to say?
Yeah, sure. Doesn't matter, but
right.
yeah.
All right, well, it matters. You said yes. Well. If it ain't Soulja Boyle.
Oh, man, he's been calling me Soldier Boy since we met. But he won't come fight this Soldier Boy. He hides behind a microphone, hides behind a keyboard. I'm not a keyboard warrior, James. I'm a wrestler. I'm a fighter. It's either show up or shut up. Show up or shut up. Keyboard warriors. That's all they are.
So, what are you saying here? Do you think that it'll never happen, James Taylor? Is that what you're saying?
I want it to happen because I like the whole national holiday, everyday Beat Up James Taylor Day. And I want to make that a holiday. We're Beat Up James Taylor Day. So I wish he would come so I could celebrate Beat Up James Taylor Day. Do I think it's going to happen? No, but do I want it to happen? Yes, because I want to beat up James Taylor for Beat Up James Taylor Day.
Would you like to know what Mr. Taylor has in response to your comments? Would you like to know?
Sir, what does Tay-Tay have to say?
All right, well, I'm going to let you know what he has to say. Mr. Crybaby 24/7 is jealous because he knows for a fact he isn't in my league.
Same old James Taylor, keyboard warrior. It's kind of like the Warriors. James, come out and play.
So you're saying almost then in a way. So you're saying almost in a way he was kind of like how the Ultimate Warrior was this keyboard warrior for all those years. We didn't see him in the wrestling ring. He'd say this and that about everybody. And then I think it was in one particular incident that Kevin Nash actually wanted to fight the Warrior, and the Warrior kind of backed away there. So you're basically saying that Mr. Taylor, despite this new video he posted on his Instagram page at Taff_Taylor, doesn't really want to fight.
Nah, he's a keyboard warrior. So stay behind. Stay what you do. Do what you do best. Stay behind your computer.
Well, May 28th, he's going to be actually live in front of a camera here on this computer on all the Sportswire radio platforms on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and on sportnarium.com/player. And I may have to ask him in response to some of these things here. But even Omen Black, actually, you and him for a second, I guess, are on the same side because he says, words to Craven also, you're mass transit and I'm New Jack. So certainly Craven Rage, certainly even, listen, James Taylor and Craven Rage are two different instances. Basically, Omen Black is saying, Craven Rage, step aside. So that's here nor there. Mr. Taylor says, on Beat Up James Taylor Day, Tay-Tay will be Crybaby 24/7 any day of the week and twice on Sunday. I'm always training, kid. I'm always honing my skills. Have a good night, sweetheart. That's what he says to you. So I guess May the 28th is the cliffhanger.
Tell him to show up. That's all I gotta say to James. Show up. Don't back out 4 days before. Show up.
That burns you guys. We heard a little bit of that from Omen on the show a couple of weeks ago, and that burns you guys a little bit, no?
Kind of. Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
And what do you think that
That's
says
all.
toward
That's
James
all.
Taylor?
That's all I'm gonna say about it.
Okay, all
I'm
right.
not
You know
gonna.
what?
I don't want to.
I'm gonna listen. That's probably the best thing we could do. I actually do have somebody that's become a fan of some of our streams on Sportswire of late. He's actually shared my page, and this individual is named J.R. Wind, and he would actually specifically like to say he would like to sponsor a match between Craven Rage and Soulja GP. So this is a guy independent, not with anybody, and he'd like to see that
I
happen.
turn that. It won't happen. I would turn that backyard nightmare into a wet dream.
Okay. That sounds like the rail yard could be facing somebody's destinations, and maybe that's Craven Rages. I don't know, but JR is saying that. One more thing, though, from Mr. Taylor. Last thing, the day I actually show up, I'm begging you to say all that trash to my face. Now, would you want to say all this to his face?
I'd say it to his face if he was right here right now. I'd say it to his face. James, I'm not scared of a rabbit chihuahua, man. You're a small guy. I'm a big guy. I don't care what you think you can do to me. I don't think what you feel that you can do to me. I know what I could do to you. And that's all that matters to me. I know what my body can take, and I know what I can give to you. And when I get done with you, your ass will be looking up at the sky while I got my arm raised high.
One more thing I'm going to say on Taylor, then I want to ask you closing thoughts on what we can expect, specifically the 20th, 27th, and the 1st, especially the 27th, because it's announced you're going to be teaming with your son Felix Jones against Dirty Donnie against the House of Wolves. I want to come back to that. But last thing on Mr. Taylor, he is a 23-year pro. They used to say in a way about Ric Flair. Ric Flair was the dirtiest player in the game. He knew all the tricks of the trade. Is there at least any thought, champ, in the back of your mind that Taylor in this sport right now, currently, especially in the yards, there might not be anybody that knows as much in the ring or outside the yards or inside the yards than James Taylor?
James, I'll give him his due. I will give him his due. He's been around 23 years, right? 23 years he's been around doing his thing. All right, so you think you know more than me. What's that gonna do? You can know more than me, but when I hit you, is that gonna help you take that punch? Is that gonna help you take that slam? Is that gonna help you take that stunner that I give you? And when I drop you, all that knowledge that you received over those 23 years, that's not going to help you when you step in the ring with me, kid. I don't care. I'm not like what you've fought. And you can sit there and you can sit there and compare me to Anthony Steele. You can compare me to everybody that you wrestled in TBW. I guess Craven likes to do that too. That's what you and Craven Ray's got in common. You guys like to compare us to the people that you already wrestled. But I'm like none of them. If you watch my matches, I am like none of them. I don't like regular matches. I like hardcore matches. You know why I like hardcore matches? Because I like to hurt people. It's my passion. It's my passion to hurt people. I'm Mr. Heel Life 24/7 for a reason. Like, this isn't a gimmick. This is what I do. I'm the king of the backyard scene for a reason. It's not a gimmick. It's what I do. James, you've been in the league for 23 years, and I've already surpassed you in the amount of time that I've been doing this. My channel, the IMF, we've only been on YouTube since July 8th, 2022.
Yep.
Not even a year, and look what we have accomplished. Look what I have accomplished. I'm a champion at another company. Defending, like you said earlier, you've never heard it like that. I'm defending somebody else's title in another company. And then I'm going to win their title in their main event. Because that's what I do. James, if you show up, and I please one day show up because I really do want to get in the ring with you. Because I'm gonna put you called him Old Yeller. What happened at the end of Old Yeller?
He was put out to
I'm gonna
pasture.
be by his master, right? His owner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
Yep.
own your ass, son, and I'm gonna take you out back, literally, because my ring is in my backyard. I'm gonna take you out back, and I'm gonna put your ass down.
I thought that was a good ring, though. What you said, it was you're in my backyard, literally. I thought that was a good ring to it. I have to say, leave that aside. I'll certainly ask Mr. Taylor those things. I have a ton of comments into it because people, I think, certainly are lit up about this whole thing about you and James Taylor. Who would have guessed that? On and off, 23 years. Yes, LOL, but thank you. Felix Jones says, Soulja, I don't know if Matthew Forsaken will make it to July because in June I'm taking the DKW World title. I'm going to end Matthew's reign of terror. Well, I mean, maybe. But I have another individual here, if you don't mind me mentioning, because we talked about him. Another guy you said you didn't think would show up back here in the IMF, and he's coming on to Sportswire Radio next Friday. And, of course, he also had a legendary
Mr.
war.
Anthony Steele, right?
Yeah, oh, you knew that already. Boy, you certainly knew something that I was about to say on Sportswire Radio. And Anthony Steele is here, and he says, just saying I owe you one, you messed up, buddy. Ooh.
In the words of Scott Hall.
That was a good one. I was actually watching an old Scott Hall segment last night at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I think it was when Hogan first came into TNA, and you could tell Hall was blown up in the face, and X-Pac, and they kind of saw that moment there. Yeah, that was probably not the more memorable moment, but Mr. Taylor would like to say, I hope you can keep your promises. I'm waiting for someone to put me out of my misery. Also, Omen Black says, I have a kendo stick with Taylor's name on it. Same with that coward, Craven Rage. And J.R. Wind here, of all people, says, instead of waiting for Taylor or Rage to step up to you, step up first to back your talk up.
I'll show up. I have no problem going up to, Wisconsin, right? For WCE. I have no problem showing up to
Appleton,
WCE.
Wisconsin. Appleton, Wisconsin.
I don't have any problem showing up to WCE. I can show up to WCE whenever I want. It's a 4.5-hour trip. But
It's not
if I
that bad
show
for
up,
you. Not too bad at all.
yeah, if I show up, are they gonna let me in? I'll show up and I'll knock on their front door. But is Craven really gonna answer that door? Or is it gonna be like WWE when DX went over to WCW and they wouldn't open that door? Is that what's gonna happen?
Are you saying that basically you guys are at war with them in a way, like a Cold War? Is that what you're trying to tell me here?
I like to go to war with everybody to show that we are the dominant force. We are the best. The IMF is the best backyard wrestling organization out there. We're proving that on a daily basis. On a weekly basis, we're proving that. Like you said, our videos got 8.
No, WC, listen, they got good content. They've proven that they can.
I'm not saying that they don't, and I'm not saying that at all. I give them their props. They got some good competition, but they're not the IMF. They're not us. They can't do what we do, and I say that for anybody. I'll vouch for any of them. I'll vouch for any kayfabe aside. I'll vouch for anybody in the IMF, including Omen Black. These other companies can't do what we do, and we're proving that. And on
I'll tell you what, you've gotten my attention. I'll tell you that much. You guys have gotten the attention of us here on Sportswire with your content, what you guys have done, your weekly product. I mean, there's really very few, any company that's doing what you guys are doing. You guys have weekly content out there with the matches you're providing. I mean, it's really second to none. I'll say that much.
Like we just had. I mean, if you watched our last week, we just had a. They made a triple threat, so it'll be Omen defending against Prince. Yeah, defending against Prince, which Jason Myers actually won.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
Jason Myers, now it's now a triple threat match, I guess, with Omen Black and Prince and Jason Myers for the world title. You watch
And we
those?
saw kind of at the end of the show, basically, what had happened there in that match. We saw some questions there, but I do have some more comments. Let me get to them here. The misery of crybabies in the backyard that think there's something special when clearly they ain't. And I do have an individual that I guess might want to respond to you. It's not Mr. Taylor. I'm going to see. I'm going to give him a couple of minutes here to see if he can figure out if he actually has the gumption maybe to say something to you, because it seems like we do have an individual that might want to say a few words to you actually in person. In fact, we actually have this person here. This is totally unannounced. This is totally this is not a gimmick. This is real, 100%. This is totally not a work. And this person wants to say something particular ahead of his segment coming up next Friday. He is here right now, Mr.
What's up,
Anthony Steele.
Soulja?
Oh,
Oh, is
baby.
it not?
Soulja.
I haven't seen you since I hit you with the chair. Where you been?
Oh, where I've been?
Where you
I've been on
been?
the Indies.
You been sitting at
I've been on the
home
Indies.
taking care of that back?
Bro,
You
I've
been
on
taking
the
care of that
Indies,
back,
man.
kid?
Look. Hey, Soulja. Let me
So
give you
even
an
on
insight, bro.
the Indies, you're still thinking about me. Even going on to the Indies, you're still thinking about the king of the
Look.
backyard scene.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna think about you. You put a steel chair to my back. See, you try to double cross me. And you know
I'll do
what
it
happens
again.
to people that double cross? You know what happens to people that get double crossed? You get laid out. You get laid out. As you said earlier, nobody's doing what IMF's doing, but IMF ain't doing what Anthony Steele's doing, if you get what I'm saying. Anthony Steele's on a whole nother level.
Yeah,
Look, I'm gonna say this, Soulja. I gave your boy an opportunity. I did a Make-A-Wish Foundation's request for Mr. Omen Black. I gave him his wish. He wrestled me, and it took you and his little goons to help him. Now, what would really happen
Listen,
if you were all alone?
Anthony, listen. Omen, you're Omen's favorite wrestler on the backyard scene, right? That's how it happened. He told you, "Oh, it's a dream to wrestle. It's a dream to wrestle Anthony Steele." Blah blah blah. I don't give a damn about you, kid. I don't give a damn. You're not my favorite wrestler. I didn't even know who you were until Omen brought you up. You were a kid on the sideline, remember? On the sideline.
On the sideline.
And if you come up here, and you want your match with me, I'll gladly give you that match. You come up here, and I'll put your ass right back on that sideline, kid.
Hey,
remember, you have that. You're on the Indies. You have that Indies. You have the Indies. You don't want to come up here and ruin that.
I'm gonna give you a piece of advice, man. A lot of men have tried to break me down and put me on the shelf.
Oh God, here we go. Comparing me to other people.
No.
Think something that everybody else hasn't said.
No, I ain't comparing you to them.
Think about something that somebody else hasn't said.
I'm talking directly to you. Let me speak. Maybe I'll actually give you words of wisdom so you can understand what people are really saying, bro. So listen, Soulja. In this game, there's people that want to act tough and then go in there, get their ass kicked, and then leave, put their head down, start crying. But then there's guys like me that meet men like you who think that they can make a move on someone and get away with it. Soulja, I'm going to tell you this right now. You think what Omen did to you at the Rumble was bad? Dude, as John Cena once said, I'm going to crush you, man. I will crush you. I'm on a whole nother level, bro. You a popular monster. Hey, look, you one pussy-ass monster have to hit me from behind.
Ooh.
You couldn't even do it to my face. Son. You couldn't even do it to my face.
You're funny, kid.
That's the thing. That's the thing. If I have a problem with you, as I do right now, I'm looking directly at you, right? I'm doing it directly to your face. And this
now,
life,
I have to break actually, Soulja, because
Anthony. Hold on, Tom. Listen, Anthony. Okay. This isn't Soulja talking to Anthony Steele. This is Gary Patrick talking to Anthony Holloway. I would end you, bro. You come in my ring. I'm not Omen. You're not gonna pick me up and slam me. I'm gonna drop you with a stunner. Way better than Taylor can. And we 1, 2, 3. Anytime you want that Yeah, I'll give it to you anytime.
Hey, look. You remember how I got Omen up on my shoulders? That dude was petrified of that real quick. I can do the same thing to you. I can do the exact
You
same thing.
can't
You
do
know
the
how
same
I
thing to me
kicked him?
because I'm not
You know how
black.
you know how I kicked Omen Black and knocked his taste down his throat and made him eat the words that he said? This is coming from a man that said he could take me out by himself. This is also the man you want to say you ain't Omen. You right. Because Omen beat you. The same thing you did to me happened to you. Karma bit you in the ass, man. And here soon, Karma's going to strike again. But it ain't going to be by Omen Black. It's going to be by Anthony Steele. Trust me. My
The only thing
schedule's
that's going
open.
to happen when you step in the ring.
My schedule's open, man.
You saying it's
And
open?
Listen,
You're
it's only
saying the schedule's open?
space and opportunity, kid. Space and opportunity.
Now,
I'll
Soulja,
make you
I
famous.
have to. I gotta cut this here because we actually have somebody else, Soulja, that you actually said a few things to, and Mr. Steele has been in the ring with once or twice, and he has something else to say ahead of his appearance coming up here May the 28th live. And actually, well, he got disconnected. I think he was so excited that he actually was about to come on here, and he left, but he's gonna come right back on here, and that is to be the nemesis, James Taylor. Certainly, Mr. Taylor, you have heard a lot about what we have said about you, specifically Mr. Soulja. I see also your old foe and Mr. Anthony Steele. You've had a dance or two with him, obviously, in places like Resurrection Wrestling.
Hold
But
on, Anthony.
Nemesis James Taylor,
Google
you want to say
Austin and
something
see
to
what
Soulja?
promo we get. Google,
Do
hey,
what?
Google Stone Cold Steve Austin's promos and tell me which one we're going to get.
So
You're going to drop me on
when
that,
you
that,
get
that
off
dying,
of
the dying
when you
stack
get
of
off
yours?
of your McDonald's Wi-Fi and really want to talk trash to me, then okay.
Oh,
I don't know how the Wi-Fi signal is up there in Michigan or Iowa or wherever the fuck you're at. But look, kid, look, I appreciate the fact that you want to come at me and you can't keep my name out of your mouth, just like Anthony couldn't. Anthony, good guy. He's doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. You're doing your thing. IMF. When James Taylor shows up, I'm gonna get in your face if you're gonna be in the ring, and I promise you, I will drop you flat
when
on your
Jared
ass.
Taylor shows up,
Period.
man, they're going to find goddamn, they're going to find the Bigfoot before you show up in an IMF ring.
Well, I
Bigfoot will
hope
be
that you can keep your
discovered.
promise.
He'll be living. His kids will be going. It'll be like Harry and the Hendersons. His kids will be going to college before you show
Hey
up in the
James.
ring with
Hey
them.
James. Hey James. I got a proposition for you. I know sometimes we don't see eye to eye, but on some terms we do. Hey, Soulja, keep your ears open. You might want to hear this. June 18th. Rage in the Cage, my boy. Rage in the Cage. Anthony Steele's gonna be in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Oh,
Anthony Steele. One, I'm gonna say this because I know this dude's watching. Hey, Omen, you like that world championship? You double cross me. I'll see if you remain champion at the end of the night.
whoa. Did I just hear what we all just heard on Sportswire Radio Live here tonight? That Anthony Steele, you're going to be in Cedar Rapids, Iowa on June the 18th, and you want to challenge Omen Black?
Oh no, I don't want to challenge him because I know he's gonna play the same dirty tactics. Then he's gonna be like, "Oh, I beat Anthony Steele again, dude. You ain't beat me. You, Jordan, Freddie, and Soulja
No,
beat me."
he didn't beat you. I beat you. You lost that match not because of them. You lost that match because of me.
But
I'm the reason why you lost that match.
It seems like I've been. You know, how about this? I got a proposition for you, Soulja. You're obviously not scared of Anthony Steele, right? Correct?
I'm not scared of anybody, man. Not scared of
You're not scared
anybody.
of anybody.
Well, that's fair.
You know, hey James, you remember watching my product back in the day? You know, NGJPW days, correct?
Yeah.
You remember a little faction I was in called the Danger Club, right?
Right.
And I see Mr. Soulja got the dirty monsters, obviously, because his beard looked like he hasn't fucking washed it or shaved it in the past 300 years.
Oh, I'm not one to talk.
Don't get mad because I can. Don't get mad because I can grow a beard.
Hey, look, I ain't gotta grow, bro. I ain't gotta grow the beard to fucking look good. I'll prove that day in and day out. But how about this? Rage in the Cage. I'll go grab a Danger Club member. I'm not gonna say who. I'm not gonna say which one. But I'll go grab a Danger Club member. And Danger Club can show up to Rage in the Cage. And you can somehow, some way, figure out a way to get a little dirty on the show. And let's mix it up a little bit. Let's mix it up. Because I already know that you know, I've issued the challenge, but I've still yet to hear an answer to James about if James wants to have the third fight inside of a cage at Rage in the Cage. I've yet to hear his acceptance. So obviously I'm going to take that as he was scared from the ass beating I gave him at Resurrection. That loss kind of sunk a little too deep of his ego. So why not it? Why not? Let me bring Danger Club back for one night and one night only, June 18th in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Sorry, you challenge the Danger Club versus the Dirty Monsters. Me and Dirty Donnie versus you and whoever your partner is from your little dangerous club. Because James Taylor, we know both of us can agree on that. James Taylor ain't gonna show up because James Taylor, that's what James Taylor, he show up. If you want that match, I'll gladly beat your ass and beat whoever you bring with you and send your asses back to where you came from.
You got to be really good at keeping your promises. You got to be really good at keeping your promises. If you can't keep your promise, then nobody's going to believe in you, soldier. Look, Mr. Crybaby 24/7, I'm willing to even put my differences aside with Anthony Steele to even team up with the little bastard to go against you and Omen or you and Felix or you and Jordan or you and whoever the fuck you got. I'm willing to do whatever you want.
Hold on, James. Hold on. Hold one second.
Yeah,
Did I hear you right?
I'm holding on, boy. Yo, you heard me.
Did I hear you right? Did I hear you right? You said you would team up with Anthony Steele to take on me and Omen. And that's all I had to do is say yes and you'll show up? And then it becomes beat up James Taylor Day.
How is
so if I say yes, Steele, Omen, I will set aside every fucking thing I have wrong with you right now to take on James Taylor and Anthony Steele. Deal.
Whoa.
Deal. Show up. Show up.
What do you say, Anthony? What do you say, Anthony? You and me. I think, honestly, maybe I'm going to sound a little egotistical here when I say this. I must sound a little egotistical when I say this, but maybe the two greatest backyard guys, legends in the business today, come to IMF and beat the two little crazy golden boys in their own backyard.
Before I answer
the two legends of today, right?
Let me correct you, James. I'm not in the backyard no more, but I have no problem coming back to the yard. All right. Let's keep that straight.
And I'll send your ass right back to the Indies.
Hey, look.
Between your legs.
Hey, James, to answer your question, I'm going to follow up with a question because this is the question everyone wants to hear. This is the question that everyone is looking for. Does James Taylor accept a cage match against Anthony Steele?
I'll accept any kind of match, period. So, yeah.
Whoa.
So, June 18th, you're coming to IMF.
June 18th.
Now, I promise you, I won't. I promise you, a man of my word, I will not interfere in that match at all. Nobody will interfere in that match because I want to see you guys beat the fuck out of each other. And again, I am apologizing for cussing, but that's just who I am. I want to see you guys beat the hell out of each other because as soon as that bell rings and it's all said and done, James Taylor Day begins. Beat up James Taylor Day begins. And I'm going to come down to that ring. I'm going to get in that cage and I'm going to beat the shit out of you.
So you're gonna beat up James Taylor after I beat
So
up
come on,
Anthony
hit me with the
Steele? I
Stone
know
Cold
Anthony's gonna
promo
get some
that you
licks in.
do best. Because when you come down, it's not going to be a Stone Cold gimmick. It's going to be Soulja whooping your ass. And still, if you want to get involved too, me and Omen can beat your ass as well. I want that match.
God. Hey, look. I'm gonna keep it real. One, y'all heard it here. James Taylor versus Anthony Steele, June 18th at Rage in the Cage. And James, let me accept your offer. I accept teaming with you to take out this little fucking bozo and the guy in the comments that thinks he's the greatest gift to fucking wrestling, but he ain't nothing more than a lousy back wagon boosting off someone else, Omen Black. All right, you can't win a match by yourself, and trust me, when it comes down to James Taylor and Anthony Steele teaming up to go against Soulja GP and Omen Black, you ain't even gonna win partnering with this dude. You got lucky, man. You got lucky, and Soulja, you got a lucky strike. But I'm gonna tell you this.
See, the thing is, you guys are welcome because coming to IMF, we're putting relevancy on your names, and you're welcome for that.
You want to hold on?
So we're gonna send you right back to Tennessee, where you fucking
James,
belong.
Give me a second, James. You want to talk about relevancy, Soulja? You talking to a 3-time world heavyweight champion. You're talking to a 4-time All-American Intercontinental champion. 6-time hardcore champion. Trust me, you know I can take a fucking hit. 1-time light heavyweight champion and 1-time WEF Intercontinental champion. You want to talk about relevancy? You ain't put relevancy on me.
Hey, now you sound like the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, look,
you sound like the Dallas Cowboys. We got 5 champions. What have you done lately? But taking ass whooping from Omen Black and get hit with the chair and sent back to where you came from.
What have I done recently? Something that y'all can't even smell. It's one word. It's one word. I've been saying this whole life. Indies. Dude, I face tougher men with my pinky than you facing your entire career. And trust me, facing Omen Black ain't a challenge.
And you get that ass whooped, and you get whooped by me and Omen Black, and we send you back to where you came from, we'll come back on Tom Bryce's podcast, and you guys can apologize like men.
All right. So I'm sorry for cussing, Tom, but I gotta say this. You say you're gonna beat our ass, right? You gonna beat our ass, right?
Yes.
So let's sweeten the pot. Let's stir it up a little bit. I like it to get spicy, bro.
All right.
So how about this? Not only we'll figure out a time to do this, James Taylor and Anthony Steele versus Omen Black and Soulja GP. But let's not make it just some regular match. Let's make it a Cedar Rapids street fight.
Ooh.
You want to beat our ass? I'm gonna do the same thing to you. I'm gonna take a steel chair to your back.
Bro, we can make it a Cedar Rapids street fight. We can make it a Boston street fight. Where are you from, Tom? You from Brooklyn? We can make it a Brooklyn street fight. You guys are from Tennessee, right? We can make it a Tennessee street fight. It doesn't fucking matter what type of street fight it is. A street fight's a street fight, and you're gonna get your ass.
So yes.
Hold on. Even though I'm from the South,
yeah,
I was actually born and raised in Texas. And
you guys are used to losing. You guys are used to losing to some union. You guys are used to losing to the North.
Hey, look, I don't know what is up with y'all, but both of y'all got McDonald's Wi-Fi.
Country ass whipping. I'm gonna bring you a good old country ass whipping. That's what I'm gonna bring you.
Hey, listen, dummy. I'm from Iowa. All we are is country.
Hey,
I'm from Iowa. All we are is country. So I'm gonna think. You're gonna come to Iowa, and I'm gonna take a corn cob, and I'm gonna shove it up your ass.
Okay. So last thing, I hear the corn cob. That's great. I love corn on the cob. It's awesome. Especially with butter and salt. But that's beside the point. So, Soulja, you think that I'm gonna be easy for you to just push over and walk over all day? Probably. You probably really think
I think so, because you're not gonna show up.
Still, Anthony
you're gonna wrestle this in a handicap match, bro. He's gonna mess with 5 days before and be like, I can't show up.
You can ask Anthony if I can back my shit up, because I can't.
Human grease wall. He must be talking about you, James.
I think he is.
He must be, but that's all right, because the more hate that I get, the more talk about that I get, that just shows the real relevancy, because the relevancy is going to be when James Taylor shows up to IMF. IMF's actually going to be put on the map for once.
Hey, I already did that.
We're on the map.
I did that 2
obviously,
months
we're
ago.
doing we're on the map. You're trying to talk to us, trying to use us. So we're on the map.
Oh, I mean, you know what? Listen.
I'm going to send you back to your little fucking town in Tennessee. When you come up here, if you come up here, I'm waiting. I'll just wait for the call. I will wait for the call that you're like, I'm not going to be able to make it.
And the Painmaker, by the way,
you're gonna leave.
Talking to Anthony Steele.
Not Mr. Taylor. You're gonna leave Anthony Steele one-on-one and a handicap match.
Hey, Josh.
It's gonna be a handicap match.
Josh, hold on. Let me ask a question. What does James Taylor always say? You don't know the difference between a wrist lock and a wristwatch. Calm down, homeboy.
He took that from another wrestler. When can James ever?
James, you approached us. That's what he says.
Hey, hold on. Hey, before Omen goes in here, James might have approached y'all. But I'm gonna say this: I was approached by James because Omen wanted to talk to me. So Omen, you're welcome.
Oh.
And even though I approached y'all because I'm always keeping my eyes on the product in the YouTube world, look at what you're at now. Look at the podcast you're on. Look at all the publicity you're getting. Look at everybody, the traffic that's coming. You even had Anthony show up. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Dude,
it's all because of me. Thank myself.
8.5 hours to take a loss.
Bro, 8.5 hours to get screwed. 8.5 hours to take a loss. You're right. Hey, you're going to
And then you drove 8.5 hours sad, crying how IMF sent your ass back.
I didn't cry. First of all, if I was going to cry, my name would be Xavier Thorne. But we ain't going to talk about that. We ain't going to talk about that. That's another subject. If I was going to cry, I'd be like Resurrection Wrestling. We ain't going to talk about that. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to keep it sweet. Soulja, let's be real. You want to say you took me out? Congratulations. You gave Omen a win. So if by you saying that, you're basically saying Omen couldn't beat me without you. And that means Omen beat you. So if Omen couldn't beat me without you and Omen beat you, that means I could definitely beat your ass.
You're daydreaming, kid.
It's logic. It's logic. It's logic.
You're daydreaming, kid.
Logic speaks. Logic speaks. I might be from the streets. I might be a city boy. But I'm street smart and I'm book smart.
Dominic Mysterio has a better chance winning the world title than you do beating me in my ring. In any ring.
Soulja.
All right, you know what? I think we've got that there's a possibility that you guys all might be seeing each other.
There is no possibility.
We'll get that.
If they show up, they will fight me and Omen if they show up.
And I'm going to tell you what. We're going to have Mr. Steele on next Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern time. Memorial Day weekend, we're going to close it out with Mr. Taylor himself, the Nemesis, 8 o'clock Eastern time. One of the biggest, obviously, backyard wrestling stars of all time. 8 o'clock
because he has, old man has to go to bed by now.
That was a good burn. I'm really trying hard not. It's a joke. I think he was joking. Just ignore the point. We're trying to sell the fact that the both of you guys are going to come on and you're going to talk about this stuff. And then Sunday night, we're going to have on Mr. Matthew Forsaken. I'll ask Mr. Forsaken, conversely, about teaming with Mr. Soulja in DKW. So we'll obviously stay tuned to all of this here. Before I get to closing thoughts for everybody, in the interest of time, the Painmaker Joshua Allen says Soulja GP, Anthony Steele. That's what he thinks. And Omen Black says he heard himself thinking that much. Jeez. Okay.
Hey, look. Hey, I'm gonna answer Josh, and I'm gonna answer Omen. Hey, Josh, have fun riding that fucking dick, riding this coattail. Have fun with that in the comments. And Omen, I didn't have to think that hard. I didn't stress my brain. I didn't fucking lose brain cells. But obviously, you learned a fucking lesson that fucking night when I showed up in IMF. You learned that you ran your mouth to Anthony Steele, and I showed you what a city ass whooping is. You might be a country boy, but you ain't shit compared to me. There's a reason why I'm called the real deal. I say what I say and I do what I do.
we're going to find out. We're getting a small preview of this tonight. That's going to be conversely next Friday on Sportswire Radio. So let me get to everybody's closing thoughts here in the interest of time. The Nemesis, James Taylor, I'm going to you first. So, sir, I want to give you a quick closing thought, quick plug, whatever else before the 28th. And obviously, happy to see you here once again, unexpectedly. So, certainly, the forbidden door has been opened once again on Sportswire, and the Nemesis has gone through that door and blasted it as he always does. So, anything you want to say here before we move on to everybody's closing thoughts here, Mr. Taylor?
Clearly, they like to say what they want to say, and whether it's a quote or not. But there was a quote from a famous movie. You ever seen The Predator? Soulja walks around here in this world thinking that he's unbeatable. Well, one thing that Mr. Schwarzenegger said in that movie is, if it bleeds, we can kill it. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kill Soulja GP. I'm going to beat his ass and pin him 1, 2, 3, or make him submit. It don't matter. I don't even have to do that. I'm just going to beat him until he's just like done.
Oh, sorry, man. My ADD kicked in as soon as you started talking.
Make sure you take your meds before you fight now.
I'm sorry, man. My attention span went other places the moment you opened your mouth.
It's okay. Hey, we all make mistakes. I get it. So go ahead.
Yeah. Your mistake is thinking.
You know what? You're a good
That's
guy.
a mistake.
I'd shake your hand. There you go. But I can't right now. Probably smells like Cheetos and shit, but it's fine. When I see you in Iowa, I'm gonna beat your ass. Period.
All right, well, fair enough. I want everybody to follow James Taylor. Follow him on Instagram at @Taff_Taylor. Also, give him a follow on YouTube. Nearly 28,000 subscribers. TikTok as well. Find out why everybody is subscribing to what the Nemesis James Taylor has to do, not only inside the ring, but certainly outside. Anthony Steele, I want to give you the floor here before we get a chance to speak with you again next Friday, and who knows what else. And certainly you have said a lot in a short amount of time, and you were giving us a preview of what's in store. So I turn it over to you, my friend, and the floor is yours.
I got 3 things to say. Number 1, James, remember the day, June 18th. June 18th is the day you get locked in the cage. And you get your
Hey, June today, June 14th, he's gonna call you and say he can't show up.
Number two. James, you're also in this, but it's not against you this time. Whenever Omen and Soulja, want to quit having their circle jerks together and actually man up and realize what the threat of James Taylor and Anthony Steele really is to them, they're going to understand once we step in that ring, it's donezo for them. The foundation. Look, I'm gonna keep it real. You call yourself the foundation. Well, as you can possibly tell, a foundation was the Twin Towers, and that got taken down. You guys can get taken down too. And number 3, May 20th, 1 week from this Saturday in Memphis, Tennessee, NOCW. Come check out your boy Anthony Steele wrestling for NOCW on the Indies. Make sure y'all check it out. They are also streaming on Hulu and YouTube. When it gets uploaded, I will be posting on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, everything. Check it out.
And also, everybody follow Anthony Steele on Instagram as well, Anthony_Steele 27510. Also, YouTube, and follow him. We'll talk a lot about that on Friday's show of the 19th, about that big NOCW show and more. Soulja, I'm going to give you the floor here. Certainly it was your show, so I'm going to give you the opportunity to share any closing thoughts ahead of your big show at Mr. McDaniel's company on the 20th, defending the DKW title. Anything you want to say on Springtime Rumble, DKW related, and anything else you want to plug on behalf of yourself and the IMF, and the floor is yours, my friend.
Well, for one, you're welcome, guys. Welcome, James. You're welcome, Anthony, for bringing relevance to your name, letting you guys come on my show. You're welcome. DKW, you're welcome for the views and all that I'm giving this title. And on May 20th, the Sieve, I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna beat your ass. We're gonna keep you down for a 10 count. When you guys show up, we're gonna beat your asses. It's just we're giving ass whoopings like birthday cards. I'm like Oprah. Everybody can get an ass whooping.
Okay. All
Been a
right.
long,
All right.
it's been a long time since somebody's really whooped my ass, so I'm
All
ready.
right, Grandpa, and I will do that.
Well, I'll
Hey,
tell you what.
if August of 2022 is a long time, then I guess that was a long time.
What about 8, 9, 10 months at the most? Yeah, I mean, I'll
Yeah.
give it. Anthony whipped my ass. He was the better man that night. But that's the last time that's happened, soldier. So
Now it sounds like you dick riding Anthony.
And June 18th could be the possibility that maybe we see a rematch in the cage in the IMF. Listen, it could be bigger than the Thriller in the Manila. It could be bigger than, listen, the Holyfield Lewis Wars, Pacquiao out there, and listen, Fury and Wilder. Forget about all those fights
Mi-
and trilogies.
Mr.
This
Listen,
could
Tom,
be the one.
Anthony. When James doesn't show up for raising the cage, the Dirty Monsters will gladly whoop you and your dangerous club teammate, whoever the fuck you want to bring in. When he doesn't show up, so you don't get your match, we'll give you a match so I can whoop your ass and send you back happy. How about that?
All right, I'll tell you what. We're going to talk about all this here throughout the weeks on Sportswire Radio because Mr. Taylor, one more time, is going to be here May the 28th, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Anthony Steele is going to be here next Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're going to have DKW coverage for you, Soulja, because you're their hardcore champion with Mr. Matthew Forsaken himself, 8 o'clock Sunday night. So we'll get a chance to hear from Mr. Forsaken. And I want everybody to please follow the IMF on YouTube at IMF Wrestling 666. Also, please follow James Taylor, Taff_Taylor. Also, follow his YouTube page. Anthony Steele's on YouTube. Also, the IMF_Wrestling on Instagram. Please support their pages. Support these companies. Support everything that these wrestlers do because they have certainly become our favorites here. And gentlemen, I want to thank you here, especially the two of you, for this impromptu appearance ahead of your big appearances coming up to Sportswire. And Champ, obviously, thank you for coming in and joining us here on Sportswire and sharing what you have to say. And looking forward to doing it again with all of you very soon. And Soulja, I have to also remember to say Saturday night, we'll see if Mr. Jovi is listening. And we'll see maybe if Mr. Jovi really is and his company is who they are when it comes to wanting maybe a shot of the IMF. We'll have to see.
Can I say one last thing before I leave?
Absolutely.
Hey, Soulja. I remember when you were running around calling yourself Soulja Two Belts. How does it feel to have an empty shoulder?
How does it feel not to have anything on your shoulders?
Hey, here's the difference. Here's the difference between me and you. I'm relevant without a championship.
The difference between me and you is I'm champ. I'm a champ, and you're not. That's different. I have a belt that I put on my shoulder.
I'm relevant without a championship, obviously.
Are you?
clearly
You're only relevant because you're feuding with us.
James Taylor wants to speak. You got Mr. Taylor.
I don't mean to interrupt, Anthony, but Anthony's making a valid point. We don't have to have a title to make our name known. Everybody knows who we are. Who is Soulja GP? I guess we'll find out.
I got a question. How long has IMF been running? What, 2 years? 2 years, right? I've been doing this for this for 7. I've been doing this for 7, so I got 5 years on you. Obviously, I'm more relevant than a championship that you hold, so it's all right.
And Taylor's been doing this.
Are you?
Since
Okay,
2000.
hold on. With that logic. Okay.
He's been doing this since Bill Clinton was president.
Okay, with that logic. How long has Daniel Bryan been wrestling for a long time? How long has MJF been wrestling? Very short time. And who's better? Who's better? MJF.
I would say
who's more relevant right now? MJF. It doesn't matter how long you've been around.
Austin Theory's been doing it.
Doesn't matter how long you've been around. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Neither one of them.
Look, you
guys sit there. You guys talk shit. That's fine. But when it all said and done, the moment you guys step in our ring and go one-on-one with me and Omen, we're gonna beat your asses. We're not those WWE wannabes from the TBW. Yeah, I'm not a Nature Boy wannabe. I'm not a Bray Wyatt wannabe. Listen, Fonzie, you can't beat us.
Hey, I'm gonna make a point on your statement. I'm gonna make a point on your statement. You want to bring up how MJF been wrestling a lot shorter than the other dude, but he's more popular. Look, people are just finding out who you are. people know who I am. When I hop on the screen, they know who Anthony Steele is. They just finding out who Soulja GP
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
So
the pain,
obviously,
yeah.
if you still
Ask
want to
TBW about it.
bring
I've
up
asked TBW about you.
logic,
Cool.
I'll tell you
The
what,
only people
ladies and
the only
gentlemen.
people that know you is TBW.
Hold on. If you
And what have
wanna
they
be
said about
technical,
you?
if you want to be technical, you want to know what they said about me? They have a shit attitude, but I'm a great fucking wrestler. That's what they
Yeah,
said
yeah,
about
but
me.
you're a
I'll
grease
tell you
ball.
what.
But you're a grease ball too.
I'll tell you what. This is just a taste of what's in store coming up next Friday.
Next Friday, Soulja, if you want to hop on my shit, I gladly.
Well, I'll tell you what, Soulja.
Golden ticket.
What are you doing? Actually, you know what, Soulja? What are you doing next Friday at
I'll
some
be there.
point?
I'll be there.
Okay.
I'm gonna be watching. And
bring your
you can
lackey
stand there
Omen
and be
Black
quiet all
too.
you want, because I'll be on yours too.
Hey,
Okay, you know
I'm
what?
glad to be on
Soulja, I'll tell you what. I'll
lackey.
give you the link. You know what, Soulja? Can I even say this on the air? I'll give you a link when Mr. Jovi comes on Saturday.
Hey,
if you're not doing anything.
All I'm gonna say is this: bring your lackey Omen
Will
Black.
you?
Sunday night.
No, hold on. Yes. I'll definitely. Hey, I'll come back. I'll come back and speak my mind against Jovi. Then I'll come back and speak my mind against the little Anthony Steele, Mr. Tony, right there. And then I'll speak my mind against Tay Tay.
And how about
on your guys'
Forsaken? Hey, we got Forsaken Sunday night. We could turn this into the Soulja radio, Soulja GP radio.
Yeah, we can. I'll be whatever. It doesn't matter.
Okay, I'll tell you what, Soulja.
When it's all said and done, when it's all said and done, boys, you guys talk a big game, and when you show up, it's going to be different.
You know, it only takes.
I'm not worried. The reason why I'm not worried, I'm really not worried. I'm not worried because I know it's going to be a handicap match because the only one that's going to show up is Steele. Taylor, I know you're not going to show up.
You know, it only takes a half a brain cell to come up with a nickname like Tate constantly talking because I haven't shown up yet. Think of the fact that when James Taylor,
and it takes some balls to come up to see the Rapids and fight us. That you don't have.
Let me say one thing, kid. It's like going to a Godzilla movie or a Halloween movie. You wait the whole damn movie to see the main event because this is the main event in backyard wrestling. I promise you that. And when I do show up, everybody, your little nipples are going to get hard when you hear my music. I promise. And I come out, I'm going to beat your ass. And there it is.
And when you come out and you wake up,
as James Taylor would say, we're going to beat you 1, 2, 3 because they can't be no other way.
I'll tell you what, this is why you just got to tune in. Just tune in to Sportswire Radio. Keep it locked in because we are going to have wall-to-wall IMF, DKW, Anthony Steele, James Taylor, you name a wrestling company. We're going to be covering it. Yeah, one more thing. Go ahead.
Also, hey, Omen, we'll send you a fucking link, too, on my night. You can come in and talk your shit to
I'll tell you what,
face.
Omen, if you're not doing anything, Omen Block, come on down, Omen. You know what, at this point.
To my face. Say it to my face. A man will say it to another man's face. A pussy will say it over a fucking screen.
I'll tell you what. So you know what I'm going to do? I'll make sure Omen Black, he knows he gets the info. He'll get the link.
Exactly. Hold on. Exactly what you just said, Steele. Exactly what you just said. You said a man will say it to your face, but a pussy will type it over the phone, over the computer, right? Well, that brings me back to James. All you do is talk behind the computer. Like, all you do is run your mouth behind the computer, behind the screen. Show up. I'm not worried about either one of you because neither one of you are going to show up.
You know, it's like Sinatra once said, I've made a few, but then again, too few to mention. I back up every word I say, and I will back it up.
Okay, you want to use music analogies, that's fine. It's like LL Cool J said, Mama said knock you out. And if you show up here, I'm going to knock you out.
Well, we'll see about all of that here. We're going to see if we have a blunt force of trauma. We're going to certainly see what happens. Maybe somebody will be at a crossroads. But in the meantime, I want to thank you, gentlemen, for coming on here. This was certainly an action-packed, heavyweight-like Sportswire radio show tonight, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of you individuals. I have a feeling very soon and probably seeing you guys a hell of a lot this summer. So, gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for coming on, and we'll certainly be seeing each other very, very soon tonight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. James Taylor and Anthony Steele and Soulja GP, our reigning defending DKW Hardcore Champion. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. If you're on sportnarium.com/player, you go back to your regularly scheduled programming. I'll be back live tomorrow, 8 o'clock British Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time with UK Pro Wrestling stars Jenna, and then the LWF Power Hour with Wildfire Nate Reese and the Scenario Nathan Gunn. Thank you, everybody here, for tuning in. My name is